welcome to the POWWOW podcast. I'm your host, David.
And I am your other host, Philip.
And I am in such a good mood. Today is Monday, the 24th of January for us. And the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, are in the NFC Championship game. Woo! Sorry if you hate sports, but man, I'm excited.
You are having a phenomenal inaugural football season, my friend.
Well, it's not my first football season. I followed very closely last season.
That's true. That's true. I'd say for like the full experience.
This is the first time I got into like the betting game and like fantasy football. I'm fully invested. Yeah.
Did you watch the regular season games last year?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, last year was the first time I literally watched pretty much every week. I was watching at least 1, 2, 3 of the games, and then I think in the second half of the season I discovered Red Zone, which was just a godsend.
But you, my friend, are having a phenomenal year. Not only do you have two teams, which is something of an outside standard, but you are having two teams that are high quality. One, unfortunately, missed the playoffs, but a very exciting finish. People would at least take that rather than be a Jacksonville Jaguars fan right now.
Yeah, and like a positive outlook on the future for sure. Now, I'll explain. I love the Chargers and I love the Rams. I'm an LA guy. Couldn't pick between the two. They're both wonderful teams. A lot of great players to support, and and they're both doing well. And the Rams are very real contenders for a Super Bowl. And I'm sure the listeners who aren't into the NFL will at some point get interested when the Super Bowl comes around, because it's easily the biggest bandwagon event in the world. But yeah, we'll maybe discuss that in minor forms in a couple weeks. But I'm excited.
Absolutely. And my only point that I wanted to make was that you happen to pick a fantastic year for all this to happen. For your Chargers, they went out and won probably the best regular season games I've ever seen. It was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And then this year, you happen to have a team that was in it on one of what many are calling the best divisional weekend playoff games of all time. Yeah. 4 games, 4 walk-off scores to win the game. It's incredible. This is unprecedented.
For anyone who's not super familiar with the terminology, all 4 games ended on the hooter, on the last second
on the
of
hooter.
The game.
I love that.
They were decided in rugby, when the time expires for the game, they sound off like an air raid siren in most stadiums. It's very cool.
So that's what the Hooters are talking about. I thought it was sensual. Now I just know it's time's up.
No, no, it's like some stadiums, it's like a burr, and then like in other stadiums, it's like a full on like, oh my God, the Germans are invading. You know, like it's fun. It's really just a rugby thing, though. It's
absolutely.
I like it, and that's where the terminology comes from. The hooter. It's got nothing to do with big boobs. In case you were wondering,
it can. I mean, there is a gay guy on the field anytime you talk about your Rams. And for those who are missing the joke,
big boobs are always involved.
And for those who are missing the joke, the kicker
I just got the joke.
Those are the Los Angeles Rams kicker his last name is Gay, and that's the only joke that I make. All right. That's it for sports talk. I swear to you, the rest of this is actually anything but sports talk. And speaking of which, we are actually going to be having a guest join us here in a few measly minutes here. But in order to prepare for our guest, since she will be joining us for our main topic, we, of course, now have initiated a new mini segment for whenever we have a guest. That game, of course, is Password. We introduced it last week. If you missed that episode, go back and listen to it. But we'll explain it one more time, and then we'll get into the flow of things. Me and David will assign the other a word or phrase that person will then have to incorporate seamlessly into the main topic or game at some point when we are interacting with our guest, preferably the main topic, though. Whenever that happens, you will hear this ding. And when that happens, you will have known that we will have said our phrase. Now, of course, the guest will not hear the ding. That is just for you, the listener. And we will see whether or not the guest calls out either person for incorporating a weird phrase into our conversation. Was it so outlandish? Was it so weird that it jarred the conversation, or did we sneak it in there?
I want to clarify. It does have to be in the main topic because then we're going to have the guests.
Yes, actually, you're right.
During the mini segment after the main topic. If they didn't call us out during the main topic, then we'll see if they can guess what the phrase was. We'll tell them that we were playing this game. What was the phrase? And if they guess it, then that person loses.
Absolutely.
Last
time you lost. Again, this one we're not keeping anywhere near as good of a track on as anything. This is just
this is just for fun.
Just for fun. So no real consequence here. But let us get to our phrases for each other. David, you started out last week. Let me give you my phrase first, if you will.
Please.
I want you to sneak in the phrase baboon booty.
Baboon booty. Okay. I love it.
Baboon booty.
Did I inspire you last week? Is that what this is?
You know what? I thought I was actually going to go with food again. And I was like, no, I'm going to. Yeah. Well, now I got to edit that out. Thank you so much. One more time. But no, I've got to. I just thought, you know what? I'm going to swap it out. I'm going to go something a little more naughty here. So yes, you did inspire me. Your turn.
Mine is, this phrase is, your ass is toast. I would like you to incorporate that into the main topic somewhere. And with that, here we go.
Anything that's said during this main topic on the podcast can and will be edited, but we can't edit out our next guest. I hope a continuous colleague of mine, not a former colleague after this episode airs. Shannon, welcome back to the podcast. When we first wanted to broach this topic, me and Hoffman, of breakups, that will be our main topic for today. I immediately wanted to and reached out to you, and I said, Shannon, we're going over a very serious subject matter. We very much want a female presence. I very much want to incorporate you in the episode. Can you do it? You were immediately there with me. You said yes. And what? 2 days later, you got bit by the breakup bug?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I'd gone through a long breakup. I recently started seeing someone, like, very casually, no labels. And then me and Philip were like on air, and we were texting about our show, and I was like, well, I just ended something with the guy I'm seeing, as we're like about to turn on our camera to like be on a live show. So that was fun. That was a new experience.
Yes, I got to see an entirely different side of Shannon, the withholding of emotions, because you, Shannon, I have to admit, you held yourself beautifully. I would not have known that you were going through something had you, one, not dry snitched on yourself. And two,
well,
yeah, I know. The hosts were asking, like, Shannon, something seems wrong with you. And you're like, well, I just broke up. Ha ha ha. I don't think that they actually knew that that's what happened or something, but you dry snitched on yourself. And two, if I hadn't have known previously, you were very well composed, far more so than I was, at least during my most recent or meaningful breakup. I guess there's really nothing else to be said. Let's just get into the subject matter.
I want to say, sorry, I'm here as well. I had asked several people, friends of mine, I'm going to call them out right now without naming them, obviously, but call out some of my friends because I asked them if they wanted to come on for this episode to talk about what we're going to talk about, breakups. And there were several of them that just said, they're like, oh, I'd love to come on. What are we talking about? Breakups. Can I come on another week? I really don't want to get into that. So kudos to, well, the three of us, I guess, for pioneering this topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Everyone goes through it. Shouldn't be ashamed.
Absolutely.
Exactly. No.
And as long as we're not dropping names, all's fair game, right? I mean, anybody in the history log there had to have known at some point for any one of the three of us we were about to air our dirty laundry. So here we go. Let's start at a fun place. We had some audience interaction with this one. We went to the socials and we asked you, the audience, where were the best places to break up? Now, David, you have that list. Give us some of your favorites from that list, from what the audience gave us.
All right, we got some real weird ones. The weirdest thing is that two people who definitely don't know each other, because I know one of them's a friend of yours, Phil, one of them's a friend of mine, both said on a roller coaster. is the best place to break up with somebody.
Now, Shannon, do you think that that's at the beginning of the ride or at the end of the ride? Like, where is? Because I'm trying to imagine, is that like before, like you're right before you go down? Is it like, hey, let's break up? Ah! Or is that like,
I'm thinking the beginning. I'm thinking right as you're about to take off, especially if it's like a launch coaster.
Yeah.
So that way you break up and then you're just like launched into like adrenaline and fear. So that's your emotions that you're dealing with, not
and
like
then they don't have to feel any shame about like screaming and getting all emotional because everyone else on the roller coaster is going through the same thing.
You can blame your tears on the wind, you know?
Exactly. We had a few honest answers here. For example, coffee. What do we think? Coffee?
Oh,
is it good or bad place?
No, hot. No, this is supposed to be best places. Yeah,
best place to break up with someone.
Depending on the person and how far out of left field they are, you do not want to be near scalding drinks, hurtful drinks. Don't give more ammunition.
But it's also public. It's public.
Public.
I don't think you should be in public.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I agree. Unless the person poses a risk to you.
That's fair.
We got one. You know, I'm gonna say who this is from because I've talked to her before about naming her on the podcast and she's never minded. Coral Denny says under an overpass. Under an overpass. I don't know why. I don't know what the context is.
Lisa can't jump.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, there's lots of places you can't jump off of that are not as arbitrary.
But like, they're not on top of the overpass.
No, I know that. Okay. All right. You seem to be fine with the logic.
Maybe.
I don't understand it, but I guess.
We got laser tag, and then it's kind of, I don't know what. I mean, take out your frustrations, I guess.
That's true. That's where I was going with it. Yeah. You can immediately
another real
go there.
Sincere one at their home on their day off. Way to ruin their day off, but I guess it's better than the day that they have to work.
That's true. Yeah,
Shannon.
True. Yeah, Shannon. Yeah,
that's very true.
Relatable. All right, that's it for best places.
How many guys? How many? I would even like. Let's go into a further qualifier here. How many solidified, significant relationships have you been in? Let's go with you first, Hoffman, so that way, Shannon, you didn't get any prep on this question. So how many significant relationships would you say that you've been in, Hoffman?
Just two.
Just two.
Two significant, long-ish term relationships.
And for the sake of the audience, how would you now then qualify for yourself significant? Do you have a timestamp on that, or is it more of a feeling, a bit of both?
I think it depends on the feeling. You can date someone for a year and never really get to the point where you feel like it's significant, but you can also date someone for 8 months and it feel very significant. So I would say at least 6 months. I don't think if it's less than 6 months, I don't think it ever got to be significant. Hard for it to be significant, even less than a year, I would say. But I do have one that I consider significant that was less than a year, but yeah, I would. That's my time frame. Anything more than a year, and it's probably pretty significant.
Same line of questioning to you there, Shannon. How long would you consider significant, and how many then significant relationships would you say you've had?
I think it does depend on I understand the timeline, but I do have some people where I was not dating them very long, but I consider them very significant, at least to myself as a person, and like how it ended and affected me. So I'd say I've been in about 4 or 5 significant relationships, 2 super long-term ones, like 3 shorter ones.
I, for myself, would say that I've been in about 3 to 4. Again, it kind of depends on, especially that I feel like everybody's first one. It's always like, how significant was it in retrospect? It was significant in that it was the first, but was it something that I would consider now, especially with the gained knowledge of like, oh, I'm actually knowing what I'm looking for in a person. And I felt a bit better connection than my first, who was just like, we're just, we're just together and it's somewhat unhealthy for both of us. But I would still go with 3 to 4 for myself as per the qualifications. I think we're all in agreement here. It's to whatever you relate to the person and whatever you can consider to be absolutely significant and feel that quote unquote connection with, feel that significant connection with somebody else. Guys, in those relationships, Shannon, we'll start with you. Are you usually the dumper or dumpee?
I am normally the dumper, honestly.
Really?
It's always really drawn out for me, though. I kind of take my sweet time trying to figure out how to do it.
Are you hoping that they dump you? Is that part of why you take so long? kind of.
Yeah. I'd rather them like bring it up than me because I'm not good at bringing up those kinds of things.
Mm.
Sorry, my dog's asleep and kicking the table.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay,
Teddy is more than welcome to break up our conversation in order to insert himself into the pod. So, all right. So you are usually the dumper, Hoffman. Where do you go?
Both times I was the dumpy. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know why that is. I don't think there's a reason. I just the first one I was way too attached to ever want to break up with that person, and then the second time just kind of it was going well, and things just sort of fell out of I don't know, it just no longer worked for some reason. But for me, it was all good, so I was fine. So yeah, I've always been the dumpy, which is I think you learn more as the dumpy about yourself.
I understand that. I have been dumped. I'm not always the dumper.
Yeah, I was about to go back to both of you since like obviously there's a preference there. Hoffman, would you say though in like smaller settings, obviously not as significant ones, but you have had to dump? Yes, you have been a dumper.
In smaller relationships, less like long-term, like short-term things? Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, I've been there.
Okay, so you've been there as well. Okay, cool. I would say that usually I'm the person who is dumping or the dumper. I'm usually that person. Once I have a feeling, or once I know that there's that disconnect, or there's that one final red flag, or whatever it could possibly be. The type of person I am, I like to kind of engage in interaction and communication and hit it head on. So I'm usually that person who will at least broach the subject, if not outright just be like, hey, what are you doing on Thursday night? Let's meet up. Let's go back out to the social media realm. Hoffman, worst places to break up with someone. Where were some of the places that our social following went for this?
We got laser tag again from the same person.
So it goes both ways. It can be the best or the worst. Yeah. Okay.
We got the middle of Macy's. We got Verizon Wireless Store. I don't think those are any worse than any other places. At work or at school, at your own wedding. Oh. What do we think? The worst place to break up with someone at your own wedding.
That is pretty
bad.
That's
pretty bad.
Unless it's your side chick. Then that's probably the right time to break up with that person.
That's bad for just down the road.
A restaurant. Shannon, that was your contribution.
Yeah, that was me. I was like, was that me? I don't want to be in a public place. Just like,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
be a person that like respects me enough to take me into like my home, or like, in a private setting and explain everything. Yeah. Like, don't like it.
Well, hold on. I just want to clarify on that, Shannon. Would you prefer to be broken up in a public place, or let's even go worse? Let's go texting. Would you rather be broken up via text or in a public place?
No, I'm a 24-year-old person. I'd rather be broken up in public than over a text message.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm with you there.
That's very insincere.
We got several funeral.
Oh, Jesus.
That was a common thing. And then, there's just so many that are good. IHOP. This is from Coral Denny. She says, IHOP.
Yeah.
Don't ruin breakfast.
That's true. If you break up with someone in a public place, you're going to ruin that place for them forever. I could never go back to IHOP if I got my heart broken there.
Yeah, anytime.
I love their French toast. I would be distraught.
Absolutely.
CVS on our aisle 9. Oh, this is a good one. Grandparents' house, 200 miles from where you live, and she's driving you home.
Oh,
I know.
Why couldn't you wait?
Yeah, you need to wait.
I don't know.
Well,
that one feels real tragic.
I mean, I understand situations, but oh gosh.
No, that is so bad. Oh.
All right, there are quite a few more on stage. When has that ever happened? We won't get to the rest. There are a lot. We got some really, really funny ones, but those are the highlights. So thank you guys for participating, the listeners. That we love the interaction and definitely gave me a few laughs as they were coming in.
All right, that segues beautifully. Hoffman, describe was your worst breakup? Now this can be
quite a bit, I think, with the rest of this main topic.
Yeah, this is going to be it. This is what we all kind of signed up for. What
Yeah.
now? Also, it's going to be interesting to see what we each qualify as our worst breakup, because I think that it can go in multitude of ways. It can be whether or not it's the worst one because of how guilty you felt for breaking up with the other person. It could be awful because of the circumstances upon which you were broken up with. Or, of course, I mean, I would argue the standard would probably be just the one that hurt the most. But where do you want to go with it, Hoffman? What was your worst
Well, I'm
breakup?
only comparing two, really, because I don't,
Sure.
I'm not considering all those shorter relationships,
Okay.
or I don't even consider them relationships, really, just sort of dating. I've had two. One went horrifically, and one went really well. So obviously, the first one, the horrific one, it lasted a while. There were a couple calls after the fact, or at least one or two calls after the fact, where I, was still like trying to convince her that we could make it, and it was long distance. That's why we were calling. It was over Skype back when Skype was still a thing, and it was just the worst. And being on opposite sides of the planet, it was. Look, I think I'll get to that. I was about to say something, but I'll get to that at the end because we have something else planned. Yeah, it was just messy, and it was emotional, and it was my first real relationship, and I was convinced that we were going to get married, which now many years later I'm like, well, that was super stupid. But yeah, it was just messy and awful.
And again, you were dumped.
And the worst part about it was that we couldn't sit face to face. She didn't have to look me in the eye. She was looking at a picture of me on a screen, we were video chatting. So when you don't actually have to, like, that's what convinced me that she might feel differently if we had broken up face to face. It was that, which again, I don't think that's true now, but it was tough. It was tough not being able to actually communicate face to face. That sucks. And then feeling completely, devastated and like not, yeah, it was.
And you said the reason why. Did she ever give you like a reason why she broke up with you? Is there ever like a good? Oh,
I mean, we had several arguments in the month leading up to that. Long distance played a big role because we never functioned well when we were not together, because we were both extroverts, so it wasn't working. We had already done a year of long distance. That was really tough. We were about to do a second year, and it just, in the end, it was definitely good that we broke up. We'd had a lot of fights, and like she no longer felt any joy in talking to me. I think that's that she didn't say that, but like there were other things that I won't get into, but sure. that's what I know she felt.
One last one for you, Hoffman. Did that or has that affected your thought process on long distance relationships?
Well, that's what I was going to get to in the end. I guess
okay.
I'll say it
so
now.
No. That's fine. We'll wait till the appropriate time. All right, okay. Let's go. Shannon, worst breakup, how you qualify it. Here we go.
I would say it's between two of my longer term relationships. One ended really, really messy, and the more recent one ended like probably more heartbreaking. I'd say that one is probably the worst one. I was living with this guy. We had been dating like 3.5 years. Wow. And we have a dog. We had a dog together. The dog is now mine. By the way,
God bless Teddy.
The said dog that is sitting below me right now.
That's good. That's real good.
I did have an inkling when I got my dog that there was some issue in our relationship. We had been living together for about like 6 months at that point, and I could just feel something was off. So when I talked to him about getting a dog, I was like, I'll buy the dog. It'll be my dog. That way I knew something was off. And we broke up every month, basically had a big blow up fight, thought we were going to be breaking up. And then I think the reason we were staying together was probably because we had an apartment together. It was messy. We didn't kind of know what we were going to do if we broke up. We never got to that conversation. So it just kept happening over and over again until finally when it did happen, it was more like amicable. Like we were kind of mutually like, I'm just so tired of it. And It left me in a really weird spot because I had to watch him move stuff out of the apartment because it made more sense for me to keep the apartment. And that was really hard. And just being in that space for a while because I had to wait until the lease ended. I had like 2 or 3 months left on the lease. That was rough. That was what made it like really hard because I was just sitting in all of our like shared space and just knowing also he only like moved back in with his parents, which was like 30 minutes away from me. And so I was like, oh, he's just like there. And then I've had to deal with it as I moved out. I'm in a new place now. I've had to like contact him about like our lease and stuff and like other fees that we had to do. So I've had to be in like contact with him about stuff. So it's like kind of slowly ending. It's like a slow burn end to that relationship, which just kept like really killing me as a person.
I'm curious, based on that experience, which would you say do you think is more difficult? Being the person who has to uproot and leave and get out, or the person who's left behind with everything still surrounding them, all the memories, you know?
So I don't know exactly. That's a good question because a lot of the apartment stuff in the apartment was mine. Like all of the big furniture was mine. So at least I had my furniture. I didn't have like super empty stuff, but I saw him like there was no art on the wall where his stuff was. His like little desk and situation was gone. So like I remember I had gone to my like parents' house and I was like, you have a key still, like just come in and take your stuff. So I came back and it was just like those spots were empty. That was really hard. And then I just had to sit with it being empty for a while until I figured out what I was going to do with it for 2 months. And it was just like sad. But I mean, like, I've never had to move like out of an apartment with someone. So I can't give that explanation.
Right.
But I can tell you, like, watching like stuff just not be there anymore, that was sad. And just sitting in the space, that was like hard, like really hard.
Yeah, it's an empty space and obviously your heart, and then it's physically represented by knowing, oh, that's where the desk was. It's what it's supposed to be. I think a lot of people find the representation probably, especially whenever you're living together, the empty space in the bed, right? Like most people adhere to still where it's like, oh, this was my side. I don't even want to take the middle. Like
the
you
empty
have more
night
room.
dresser drawer that he had was so sad. I was like, I gotta put socks in there or something. I tried to figure out what to do with it like ASAP. Because it was just depressing.
Yeah, it's always those small representations of physical space to represent the emotional space until eventually you get to a point where you hate them and you're like, God, your ass is toast in my mind. I'm going to get over you completely. God, it's one of the hardest things. So for myself, my worst breakup, it's certainly between two. I'll go with an earlier one since the most recent one was more convoluted to say the least. I was in a similar situation to yours, Hoffman, where it was like we were breaking up well, I guess, Shannon, it'd probably be closer to yours, where it's like we were breaking up. We broke up like 2 times beforehand, right? So we were together for about 3.5 years, but it was accumulated, right? Like our first run was like 6 months. The next one was like a year. And then the last one was like a year and a half. And then through each one was a different phase, very different phase, different things in them. But at least for the last one, what had happened is we had moved in together. And I think one thing that foundationally, really, it was a learned experience for me is that my family didn't approve of her. And of course, I was then in a spot in college and I was just very like, if anything, that probably made me more crazy about her, I guess, like looking back on it. And with that knowledge in mind, we not only kind of moved in, we definitely moved into a new place. She got a house on her own and I helped with certain aspects of that financially. And then, of course, I paid rent in there. We had some other roommates, but essentially the house was ours. And by the end there, it came down to there were a lot of problems looking back on it now on where the relationship was and how it happened. But at the time, she kind of forced me to make a choice of my friends or her. We were having some friends over for some company. She was having a real bad headache, migraine actually. And so she was like, hey, can you get them out of here? I was like, listen, I am so sorry. I will close the door. I will put on freaking waterfalls and whale moaning in the background. So that way, like it drowns out all the entire conversation that's going on down there.
Moaning.
Well, moaning.
You just have those on CDs, like ready to go.
YouTube is a beautiful thing. And so, I was like, and I will be up here, like I'll go down and get you whatever you need to do. But we were literally like in hour 1 of like we invited everybody. Somebody specifically asked me from the group, hey man, we're coming from like Gilbert. I normally wouldn't ask, but it's like a long drive. It's going to be on for a while. Right. And I was like, yeah, it's totally on. And and everything. So it was preset for a long night. And so I was like, I will spend the entire night with you, but the problem is I can't kick them out. They just arrived. And the guy who specifically asked me if it's going to go all night, it just arrived. I'm so sorry. I will be with you. I will. And no, still at the end of the night, it's like them or me. And I was like, them. I mean, I'm not, you can't, whenever me, myself as a person am faced with a decision, usually I'm the type of person who goes with the entity that does not force me to make a decision, because I find that to be the less strenuous of a thing. And it's just not healthy to force another person to
I would congratulate you on that as well, because I don't think a lot of people have that strength.
Thank you.
We're getting real soppy here.
I know.
Well, you're an ass. Sorry, I had to cleanse myself of the compliment.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. But by the end, I think for me, to kind of go, not the thing I learned, but just something that that gave me strength in that particular breakup, knowing and feeling justified in doing so, was by the end, we too, Shannon, we had gotten a dog together. His name was Parmesan, actually, but we called him Parm. And I realized at the end of it, I was more sad about leaving the dog, because it was always kind of established as her dog. And I just was like, God, I'm going to miss that dog more than like a lot of elements of our relationship, because we just kind of changed over 3.5 years as people. So that was something where I was like, that's a realization for me. That's a moment that I'm like, okay, there we go. Guys, biggest thing we've learned from a breakup doesn't have to be the one that you already discussed, can be something else, can be a smaller one, but biggest lesson that you've learned from a breakup.
Phil, let's start with you.
Biggest thing I've learned from a breakup.
I'm glad you had this answer ready.
I know. This is why.
It's a hard question.
It is. It's a hard question. I would probably say the more and further along I go into relationships, not only with just, of course, romantic relationships, but people, communication is really key. And I find that a lot of the stereotypes and stereotypical phrases that get used over and over again, there's a reason why they're stereotypes, right? Is that a lot of them work. It's like whenever, I don't know, like how do you figure out you're in love? Whenever love songs start to make sense in your mind, right? Like there's a reason why that works. So whenever you're thinking about like what is most important in a relationship, communication and honesty just cannot be overstated. At the very least, you have that to fall back on. If somebody's at least being honest, like, hey, I'm slowly falling out of love, at least you have that to buffer, as opposed to, bam, one day it's just like out of left field. Whoa, I'm so sorry. What happened here? Or communicating like, that really upset me, or that's just not what I like, in whatever realm that could possibly mean. Communication and honesty are just such at the forefront of any relationship. Shannon, what's probably the biggest thing you've learned from a breakup?
Communication definitely is big. I think I've learned this more recently. You have to be happy with yourself as a person before you can be very happy with someone else. You have to be okay being alone and be with someone you want to be with, not someone you need to be with. Because if you're putting too much pressure on a relationship, you're just going to be miserable when any small thing goes wrong. That took a long time for me to learn. And I think that's probably the most important thing, that like you have to be independent people and you have to support each other and love each other and like care about each other. But you have to be happy as yourself. You shouldn't base everything off of your partner, or everything like rides on them. No one's going to end up in a good place at that point. If you're doing that, you're just going to have too much pressure on yourself and on your other person.
It is actually uncanny. Even just the phrasing that you used there is exactly the lessons, like some of the lessons that I've learned, especially from my first relationship and subsequent breakup. You have to be your own person. You have to be happy on your own. You can't rely on the other person. I've ended shorter relationships because I felt like the other person was relying on me too much. It's so important that you have your own life, your things that you can lean on that have nothing to do with your significant other. Yeah. And just like I'm having a party here because I agree with you so much.
Dependency is such a key. Is to
a lot of people don't get that.
No.
Media's made it so like popular now to be like, I am obsessed with my partner. I like live and breathe for my partner. I wear their blood in a vial around my neck kind of relationship. And I don't think that's healthy.
That kind of thing makes the couple stronger, whereas I disagree. I think that makes it weaker. absolutely weaker. My big lesson has to do with long distance. And really, I feel more strongly about what Shannon said, but she stole it. No, I'm just kidding. This is always what I was going to say.
How dare you learn what I learned?
I'm not going to tell you that long distance doesn't work because I've seen it work. I know people who've made it work for years.
Yeah.
It is affected on how far the distance is. Like I did Europe to California, that was tough, whereas, an hour's flight is a lot more reasonable. I will say this. If you're about to go into long distance and you're trying to figure out if it's actually what is best for you, you need to ask yourself, how long have you been in a relationship with this person? How long is the long distance supposed to last for? If you've only been with the person 6 months and that person is moving to Uganda to do aid work for the next 3 years, I would definitely advise you don't get into a long distance relationship with that person. You have to really be honest with yourself about what's best for you. Sometimes people, I think, want to lean on the person that they're already with when it's definitely not what's best for them going forward. So for me, I wasn't going to let go of my first girlfriend when she moved away. But in the end, I definitely should have. I think for most people, I think 90% of the time, long distance isn't actually what's best for that person because you need people around you. If you actually want a personal connection with someone intimate, you need to be with that person. So long distance, yes, it's totally doable if it's right, but I would dare say 99% of the time it's not right, and you would be better off breaking up. And in the future, if you're in the same place again, maybe you work something out. Maybe it just happens. I'm not one to believe in anything's meant to be, but if it's meant to be, whatever. If you believe that. But yeah, so I would just say long distance, I would err on the side of caution. I've done it multiple times, and it's tough. It's really, really hard.
Here.
All right.
Hold on. I have two more that that just came up on the fly.
I have one as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's
More
interchange.
No, you go first.
No, not more lessons, just like fun tidbits. How long would you say it takes you guys to get over it? Or maybe like what was your longest that it took you guys to get over your breakups?
Well, How I Met Your Mother says half the length of the relationship, right? So, so if it's 2 years, it should take you a year to get over it. Now,
that's
to fully recover. I don't think that's unreasonable. It took me, my first relationship was about 2 years. And it took me over a year to get over that. My second relationship was 9 months. And I think I would definitely say probably took me more than 4.5 months, maybe a little bit more.
Okay. Shannon?
Let's see. My first relationship was I was 16 to like 19. So we dated like 3 years, really a lot of like growth in that time period, a lot of messy stuff, very toxic relationship. That one was. That took me like a full year, a lot of questionable decisions during that full year to fully understand like and get over like that was my issue, wasn't still not getting over it. My more current one, and I've seen a lot of people on like social media apps talking about this recently. I don't know if it's just because I'm liking all these breakup TikToks and my algorithm has changed to breakup talk. I don't know, but it's
breakup talk.
Sometimes you start mourning the relationship before it ends, and that might be a girl thing because, like I said, we were breaking up multiple times in this last one, and I had a bunch of feelings of like I don't think this is going to work back and forth. So I started like mourning my relationship before it had officially ended, and that's definitely not helping the relationship fix itself. But like that definitely has sped up my like getting over it process. Yeah. I'm not fully over it, I don't believe. Like I just moved to a new place. I had to deal with him. So I've had to see him and talk to him. And we had a dog that I see every day. He's like literally at my feet. But like I'd say normally, depending on like the smaller ones, I am a very like caring person and passionate person. So it takes me a little bit longer. I do get attached pretty easily to the thought of things happening. So I think I mourn the potential more than I mourn the person in small ones. So it just really depends. But I think a good like 6 months and the How I Met Your Mother rule is pretty good. Because like I could see my like toxic ex now and be fine. But like even when I had started dating my new boyfriend, it had been like a year and a half after I had broken up with the guy, I like saw him. And it wasn't like I was like in pain, but it definitely like there's feelings there. Like the feelings are not there anymore. But like for everything to fully get out, I think it just depends on like maybe like the level of the breakup, because that one was really messy.
Tell me if I'm wrong for this, guys, or if this is just like bad for me. But I think that there's two things. One of like feeling sad emotions of feeling just overwhelmed by raw, uncorralled emotions. I would say
Unadulterated.
Ooh. I would go probably about 3 to 5 months. But I will say this: I don't think that realistically any of my, like, especially my significant others that I've had in the past, I don't think I'm ever going to stop loving them, even if it's just like the iteration of what they were to me in my mind. Certainly they've all changed into different people, different lives, different everything else. But I sincerely don't think that there's one of them that I look back and I don't think of fondly, or at least I even instinctually
Yeah.
look back
No, I
and
understand.
yeah, I look back and I'm like, I'm still filled with love for at least what that person was, if not still the person out of the sake of the history that we have. And I don't think of the ugliness of either the breakup or the circumstances that led to the breakup. I think of the happy moments, right? Like the beginning moments, the lost in love moments, just all those happiness. That's naturally actually where I drift to. Is that fair going forward? Like thinking about like I think in a weird way I'm still like in love with who like the people were behind me. Is that fair?
No, I think that's very
Yeah.
normal. I mean,
Yeah.
those people, like you experience those emotions with the person, like you can't ever get rid of that, regardless if you want to or not. And like that shaped you into like how you are now. Like maybe like you get this person, your new person flowers because of how much you really enjoyed getting that person flowers or something. Like that relationship has like overall impacted like the course of your life. So I think that's fair. I think it's very fair.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same way about my past relationships, even some of the shorter ones. Like maybe it's not, I still love them, you know. Like I have love for both of my exes. I try to look back only on the fond memories. I've taken the lessons from the harder memories, and yeah, when I think of them, I try to think of only the good stuff. And they were big parts of my life, and I appreciate them. And if I die, I'll try to see if I'll make sure they all get invites to the funeral.
If I died, very presumptuous of you. All right.
Oh, well, I have no immediate
Yeah.
plans to die. So
Yeah, exactly. Hoffman, go ahead and ask your questions. This needs to be a longer
I want
episode.
to.
I was
Yeah,
thinking about.
I'm okay
Yeah,
with that. I
yeah,
think
but thought.
I want to lighten the mood a little bit.
Okay.
Do you have any fun? Like, have you ever had to be witness or sort of be in the realm, in the room, or in the house, or something of a breakup? Have you ever been witness to like a really spicy breakup or something?
Yeah. Not like in person, but like over the phone. Like growing up, college and like late high school, it was really just normal for my friends to just like call up guys and be like screaming at them, like I'm done with them and like yell at them over the phone. So I've witnessed that. I've been in my like my college apartment when my roommates and their significant others were having like blow up fights, but they never broke up. But we used to do this thing where like we knew that if like my roommate was having her boyfriend over to bring up an issue, have a fight, we would go to the room closest to theirs and like sit close to the wall so we could listen in. Please know that that's very normal for girls to do. I've talked to
I would have done the
multiple women
same.
about it. We're just nosy. Like at that point, if you know what's
We're
going on, like
nosy too.
let
I
me
think
witness
for the
it.
most part.
We're just
But like
dumber
nothing
about it.
super terrible, like where I felt like super uncomfortable.
Right.
I've definitely been put in weird, like awkward situations between couples fighting and like being in like maybe the backseat of their car. And then you're just like, oh no, what's going to happen now? Someone's got their hand on the wheel and they're screaming at each other. But nothing super bad. Just possible vehicular manslaughter.
Yeah, I I don't think I've been in like Shannon said, I've been a part of some like mega nuclear fights in the same room, but I don't think like it wasn't like that we broke up. No, it was I mean it kept going on for whatever freaking reasons it went on, but to each their own. Hoffman, did you have something that inspired you for the question?
Yeah. I think it's because I'm a very empathetic person that people confide in me a lot. I had been sandwiched in between this couple, hearing both sides of their story about what was going on. And I'm going to try to give as few details as possible about the context because I don't want other people listening to clue into what was going on. But yeah, I'd been confided in by both couples, and it was an evening in our house when I was at university. I'm already giving too many details.
Yeah.
And we were trying to I put on some TV to sort of calm. Only one of them was there. Put on some TV to try to calm the mood, and we tried like sitcoms and stuff, which just depressed the person because they're all about like love and stuff like that, and so I put on a nature documentary instead, and we were watching that, and then the other person came home, and I knew like, okay, it's about to go down. I paused. I went upstairs. Again, like sort of like listening down from the top floor, and it lasted like 45 minutes or something, and then eventually I came back down to sort of check on them and see what was happening, and the whole time I didn't realize on the TV was paused on this like baboon booty. And yeah, funny story after the fact, but realized just how awkward that was at the time. And then yeah, they ended up breaking up. But
how interesting. Poorest way that you've either broken up with somebody or that you've been broken up with. And again, this doesn't have to be like a meaningful relationship, just in general. What was your poorest way to either break up with or have been broken up with? And if you both want to think about it, I do have one that inspired me for this question. I broke up with a girl the day after prom.
Oh no.
So here's my spiel that adds context to it. One, I knew 2 weeks out that I wanted to break up with her. I was like, something, the way that she interacted with her family really was a clue to her. I'm like, if she interacts and like disrespects her mom like that much, that does not bode well. That does not bode well for me. So I was like, okay, I know that I'm going to be breaking up with her. But you know what? There's still love there. There's still a lot of good stuff there. Let me just wait up since I've already asked her to prom. I'm in college. My first year of college, she's a senior. I was like, I cannot be that guy who breaks up with her like 2 weeks before prom. And like,
that is fair.
Yeah. So I was like,
I appreciate you for that. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to do it. And so I was like, you know what? I can bite my tongue. I can enjoy 2 more weeks. That's fine. I can make it like a pleasant, lovely, lasting experience. And so we go to prom. I kind of step out a little bit more whenever it's like photo time, because I'm like, I want to give you this like photo thing so that we still have them and we're not just all together, and you still have something fun to look back on. We enjoy prom. And after prom, she was Jewish and I celebrated Christmas, and also it was my birthday. We were like right in the throes of winter. It was like a lot. And I was like, if I don't break up with her now.
Why was your prom in December?
Yeah.
I don't know why. They're freaking Chandler. I don't know why they do any of the things that they do. But anyways, they they had it late in the year. And so I was like, okay, let's enjoy this. And I was like, if I don't break up with her now, I'm literally going to be indebted into Hanukkah. I'm going to be indebted into Christmas, and then it's birthdays. Then we're looking at like freaking Valentine's Day is right around the way, and then her birthday is also coming up. So it's like, it has to be now, or else I'm like now committed to like a month, which is more than I was like willing to do. So day after prom, horrible starting point, but I was like, at least let me get through prom. Now it's mine. Do either one of you want to volunteer your worst?
I just want to say that you left it late enough that they had already probably gotten you a gift for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever.
Maybe. Maybe.
I don't really have anything. Was this worst or best or
worst? Like poorest way.
I mean, yeah, I think the Skype thing, it was inevitable. There wasn't a better way at the time. It was the only option, but it was pretty awful. Other than that, not really. Like, I've been broken up with over text and that, but those are lesser relationships, so I don't feel as strongly about those. The worst that I've ever done was probably when I was like 12 years old, which really shouldn't count. I had been dating, right, in quotes, this girl for a week. And I was at this park with some of my friends and some of the girls in my grade, and everyone wanted to play Truth or Dare. And I was like, damn it, why do I have a girlfriend now? It was like the end of the school year. We were going to break up anyway. So I tried to call her to...
Oh, God.
Luckily for her and for me, I couldn't get through to her. But I very nearly broke up with her over the phone. Granted, again, please forgive me, I was 12 and we'd been dating a week. Dating in quotes.
Shannon?
I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
The 12-year-old breakup.
Yeah.
This one was pretty bad. Looking back on it, I wish I did it differently. My other like longer term relationship that I ended when I was like 20, I was in college. The guy, he was doing like a trade. He was living at my parents' house. That's a different story for another day. He was living at my parents' house. We'd been dating 2.5 years at that point. He had like his own room in like the basement. But like I came home for spring break and I realized I did not want to see him at all. And I had to. He lived at my house. As I was going through all these conflicting emotions where I was like, I think I need to break up with him and all these things. And I was like, I don't know how to do it. This is going to be really bad. I just decided to like fully avoid him for like a week while he lived in my parents' house. And we also went to a concert together that I had got him tickets for his birthday months ago. And we went to that concert and I just like was very off. And I definitely was like, I ruined his like whole week probably. And like the last day I'm supposed to go back to college, he like comes up to my room and I'm like packing my bag because I was like, let me go early. Let me leave early. He's like sitting on my bed, like in the corner, like not looking at me. He goes, what's up? Like, why won't you like talk to me? And I said, I think we need to take a break without looking at him. And this man literally ran out of my parents' house, got in his car and drove away. And I was like, oh, okay. And so my mom comes up and she's like, did you guys just like break up? And I was like, I think so. And so I didn't call him or text him or I went back to college. I left. And I never saw him again. Like we had phone conversations, but like as far as the breakup conversation, we didn't talk about it. He moved his stuff out of my parents' house that week. And that was really rough. Looking back at it, it was very selfish of me. It was a horrible relationship, but like very selfish way to break up with someone. And that's on me and being like young and stupid. But I do regret how I handled it because it was just bad.
Oh, this has been I would say fun, but it's not. It's not. But
reflective is a better word.
It has been, yes, Shannon, nothing but reflective.
Reflective is a good word. I would say there's been some fun moments. I hope we've given the listeners something to some perspective to reflect on, some ideas, maybe some lessons to be learned from our poor or not less poor experiences, all of the above. So thank you for bearing with us for a big, chunky main topic.
Absolutely. This will certainly be a beast of burden. But Shannon, I know we've taken up a lot of your time. Are you all right to stick around and play a couple games with us? Would that be all right with you?
Oh, yeah. Always.
Fantastic.
Good. Let's do this.
Let's skedaddle. This episode of POWWOW Podcast is sponsored by Sides.
Meet Sides. SIDES, an app that helps you take the law into your own hands.
Turn ordinary agreements into binding contracts in seconds. Then if a dispute arises, Sides will step in to resolve it for you.
Wait, Phil, that was supposed to be my line.
What did we agree to in the contract?
I don't know. I guess we can use Sides to settle this dispute because each dispute costs a small one-time fee.
And if you win, which I will, it's all awarded back to you.
Sign up now and get 16% off for a limited time only. Okay, so we're done with the main topic, and we're obviously, you the listener know we were playing Password throughout then, and Shannon, this is news to you. Phil and I both gave each other a word or phrase that we had to drop into that main topic at some stage without you noticing or calling us out. And now it's time to see if you can guess what either of our phrases or words were that we had dropped into the main topic. And hopefully we can get a win here, either one of us.
Shannon is flabbergasted. She is aghast. She has no idea.
I have no idea what it could be.
Was there anything that struck out to you? Something that you thought might have been...
Something that sounded weird at the time?
No.
For either one of us? No? So, I mean, if this is... If this is where you want to stick with it, Shannon, then I think we both garnered ourselves.
Okay. Give me a minute.
Sure.
I'm rewinding in my head. Oh my gosh. This is terrible. I literally can't think of anything that was like off topic or anything that like struck me weird.
That's shocking to me.
I think once we announce what they were, she'll be like, that was weird. That was freaking weird. All right. Yeah. Last chance, Shannon, anything?
No, I think Philip just says weird things all the time and I just go with it, you know? So I think it wasn't throwing me off. And I don't know you well enough, David, to like be like, okay, that's weird for him.
All right, fair enough.
I thought you guys were normal conversating.
David, what was your phrase that you were forced to incorporate?
Mine was baboon booty.
I thought that was funny, like a funny little Did that actually happen or was that a lie?
Okay. I'll say this. That story was pieced together from true events, but obviously the baboon booty was fictional.
I'm so hurt. I was like, that made the whole story. Oh my gosh, I feel betrayed.
I honestly feel guilty. I feel guilty for making up the story. Well, again, there are very true elements to that story, but man, yeah, I know.
Usually does.
But I had to, it was getting close to the end of the main topic. I had to drop it in somehow. There was no other situation where I was going to be like, I once broke up with this girl because she wasn't thick enough, right? She had a little scrawny baboon booty and I wasn't into that. So I thought about going that route, but I knew that was probably going to be picked up
Bravo to
pretty
you, though.
quickly.
That is a hard word to fit in a breakup topic.
I know. Yeah, thanks, Phil.
You're very welcome. I aim to win. My phrase that I had to sneak past your censors there, Shannon, was your ass is toast.
Oh, no. I see that's normal for you.
That is normal for me.
I just thought that was like, yeah, it's Philip.
I tried to go easier because last week his phrase was, you ready? It's Python peanut.
That was.
And yeah, no, I would have picked that one up.
That one he sort of like whammed into the conversation.
As any good Python peanut does.
Yes.
All right. I'm so glad it made a reoccurring.
I tried to make it a little bit more workable.
With that being said, we can now successfully both feel good about this, David. We both are getting better at the game. Shannon is now aware of the game, and let's actually get to some real games here. Hoffman, this is once more, and
I can't believe we haven't said it yet. We have not said it yet. Say it.
It is episode 50.
50.
Episode
Big 50.
50, man.
Oof.
And with only 1 week off. Every other week we've done something. There's only even one episode within there that we actually we've gone through a lot. But one episode in there that is not canonically in the episode list. That's only with like technically 2 weeks
like
of
4
breaks.
minutes long. So it's like it was a week off for the most part, but it's not. But yeah, I mean, it's been 50 episodes. It's been just about a year. We're coming up on a year, which means also that our game tally, our score is almost at an end where we were supposed to have a punishment ready for whoever lost. And we weren't able to come up with anything that was agreeable, but also, not necessarily not lame, So we wanted to spend this once more just sort of reflecting and also looking forward to what's coming up on POWWOW, what the future looks like for POWWOW.
Yeah, mostly looking forward, just because we've done a lot of our fair share of looking back, and that's always fun and dandy and good. And we'll certainly, I'm sure, in the future, go back to looking back. But for something new and unique, let's look forward. Let's give the audience something with episode 50 now here, and this being episode 50. Let's give them a little preview and taste of what they can come to expect in the future, what we kind of have in store and ideas for them.
One of the big things that we talked about was doing sort of refreshing everything on a yearly basis. Now, we haven't done that so much this year, but we will, I think, at the end of this year, we will try to do a big refresh. And for the beginning of 2023, there will be almost what we want to call a new season of POWWOW. So, Phil, correct me. You tell me if you think any different from what I'm saying here. But I was thinking the first season would be everything we've done so far and everything for the rest of the year. And then starts season 2 of POWWOW, maybe a new poster, new whatever.
Yeah, so essentially what we're thinking right now, we are in the middle of our campfire theme. It's certainly our foundational core and theme of what we've been doing. And even going forward,
which we won't venture too far away from, I don't think.
No, correct. We're probably going to be bringing the logs with us no matter where we go. But I think we've kind of ballyhooed around the idea and off camera come up with the idea of maybe we go to outer space, maybe we go undersea, whatever it could possibly be. I'm sure that we'll explore very different areas and kind of have different themes. So instead of a once more, maybe we'll have one fresh off the griddle if we go to a we go to a Western theme.
Yeah, there you go.
Something it'll still be within the same base, but a lot of the fun things, maybe even some of the sounds that you'll hear will be different. A lot of new fun things that just to freshen it up, just so that way, even yes, we still have the comfort of pretty much the entire show being the same thing.
Yeah, and there's certain things that just won't change. That slaps. I can't think of how to make that any better. There's lots coming up. We have talked a little bit about doing a live at some stage. Yes. We thought about doing it for episode 50. Clearly that hasn't happened, but maybe episode 100. Maybe we'll finally be prepared by then to do a live episode. We've been growing. You know, we've changed the way that we share our content on our socials.
Absolutely.
The episode structure has changed since the beginning. A lot's changed, and it'll continue to change for the better. We hope. We would love your feedback. So if you want to DM us, please do. In addition to that, we're obviously still looking, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we're looking for a punishment for this year. So this year, we agreed last year, the year would end when we came around back to the Super Bowl. That's where we started last year. We would have a punishment for whoever was behind on the overall game tally. And we weren't able to come up with anything that we could agree on. But if you have ideas, then DM us. Maybe we can find something that that works. So we're coming up. We'll start a new game tally when the Super Bowl comes around, I guess. Whenever, I think that's like, by the time we have to record that episode, it'll be 2 weeks from now, I think. So we're pretty much there at the end. We're very excited.
Shannon, you have been so generous with your time. We are now going to have you on for one more thing. This is probably the second longest appearance we've ever seen on a POWWOW episode. Jake probably holds the record. I think he was there from point A to like point B.
That was also edited, so
that's true. That's true.
The final product didn't feel as long, probably, for the listeners, but
no.
All right, yeah. But Shannon, you have been on for a while, and we love having you. And we got some questions for you. Even though the listeners know you plenty by now with all these stories that we've been sharing.
Oh,
I'm so pleased with myself.
Even Teddy didn't like the joke.
Yeah. Well, I think he was like, approving. Whoa, good one. We've been sharing stories plenty already, but we have a couple questions to anecdotal things, whatever. And I'll go first because I've got two. Philip has one. I'm going to say, what celebrity couple would you like to see make it?
Tom Holland and Zendaya.
I was thinking the same thing.
Just for the Spider-Man MJ.
We are on the same page today. We're on the same wavelength.
There's no way they last beyond like 5 years, though, right?
I don't know. Tom Holland has the like goofiness, you know, and like he's very good looking.
I don't know. They seem so perfect for one another.
A beautiful man.
She's very good looking. I mean,
oh yeah, hello. I watched Euphoria last night. She's very attractive.
Yeah, this goes without saying.
And also, I feel like I like the vibe. I like the vibe of them. I would like to see them make it.
They're fun to watch.
Two crazy kids.
Two crazy kids in love. Would you allow the life of a one-armed orphan child die, Shannon, if it meant you could save the life of Teddy, your beloved corgi who has joined us throughout the episode?
Oh my God.
Jesus.
He just looked up at me too. Oh my God.
Yeah, I want you to look into his eyes as you make this decision.
All right, so like a one-armed orphan
who's very excited about... Yeah, see, Teddy is, he's antsy. And the orphaned child is very eager to live.
And like, how are they going to die?
Probably in a gas chamber in front of you.
Oh my God.
Too much?
What is wrong with you?
Oh my God.
It's not me, it's Shannon.
See, there's like qualifying things that would like sway my decision. I'm going to say bye to the orphan. I love my dog. I'm very attached to him. He got neutered the other day. I cried thinking about him under anesthetic, and
I wouldn't worry too much about people judging you because I'm sure a lot of people are right there with you. The love between someone and their dog is
they don't
just too...
have a family, you know.
Teddy's your baby.
Okay, don't start trying to justify it. We're okay. We're halfway there with you at the very least.
I feel the need
You're
to.
trying
I
to
just killed an
justify. You're making it
orphan.
worse. You're making it worse. All right, let's move on to something a little bit more.
Your
is
last
breakup sex a real thing, and is it worth it?
It is a real thing. Every time I've experienced that, I feel really bad after, whether it be like right after or like a couple days after.
So no, not worth it then.
I don't think it's worth it. And yeah, no, I'm just going to say don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
One clarification, feel free. I can edit this out if you don't want to, Shen. But do you, whenever you think of breakup sex, is it with the knowledge of from both parties that is breakup sex? Like as in you're already broken up and it's just one last one for the road? Or is it just with like one person's knowledge being like, all right, this is our last time?
Oh,
that's hard because like you never really know going into it if that person feels the exact same way about the situation.
Wow.
Because like they might be like, oh, they want to have sex with me. They want to get back together with me.
That's dangerous.
That is hard.
All right. Yeah. Well, interestingly,
I think it might work if it's like a mutual thing. Like let's just one more for the road. I think that could work. But the I'll do it one last time with you and then I'll break up with you is a little too depressing. So,
well,
let's get to the game.
I was going to ask if you've ever had that, Hoffman, but you've been far and away. Yeah. So why the hell am I going to answer the question if you aren't? All right. Let's go to the game. David, it is your game since Shannon is my guest this week. Go ahead and explain the game to our audience.
So the game master has created several scenarios. And each scenario will be paired with certain options. So it's a breakup. Let's just imagine it's a breakup scenario. And then there are 3 options for the contestants to choose from for what to do in that scenario. Now, each option is worth a certain number of points based on how badass of a response that option is to the given scenario. And then the 2 contestants will pick different options. They'll have to pick different options and they'll take it in turns going first, and they'll get a certain number of points depending on what they choose, and then the person with the most points at the end will win. I think it's a little complicated as I explain it, but it should simplify as we go on. Have I explained that well enough for you guys?
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, good. As long as you guys understand, the listener will catch on pretty quickly.
Shannon, who would you like to face off against first? Teddy excluded.
Let's go, David.
David, meaning my game first. I will set you guys up with a delicious game here for your guys' listening pleasure. All right, your significant other is yet again in the enthralls of annoying you, not taking the trash out, adding to the laundry but never helping, and worst of all, licking your mom's freshly made sourdough baguette and didn't eat it. Oh, the absolute call. You've had it. You decide to not only break up with them, but tell them immediately who you are going to go out and have luscious, animalistic, sweaty revenge sex with. Which option do you pick first, Shannon? 1, your favorite ex, who was best at the mattress mambo. Option 2, Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool suit to start. Or 3, prime Bill Clinton with a fully finalized visa between his teeth for Hoffman and a year and 3 months worth of free rent between his pasty thighs for Shannon.
Oh, dang.
I know. Nobody usually picks Bill Clinton until you look between the thighs. Shannon, which is option number 1 for you? Or maybe actually probably best, which do you think I would have picked as option 1?
Well, what's between his thighs for Phil?
I took it from your guys' perspective is where I took it.
All right.
I gotta go with Ryan Reynolds. I mean, I feel like I'd be breaking the law if I didn't pick Ryan Reynolds. Because like, isn't that everyone's dream? Not just like
pretty much everybody, yeah.
So I gotta go with Ryan Reynolds just for the sake of my sanity. I'm sorry if it's not cool.
Hoffman?
Okay, I'm going to go with Bill Clinton because I think, Phil, you want me to go with Bill Clinton. You want me to get that visa. So I'm going with Bill Clinton.
You both were, one of you actually avoided the number 2 option, which was your favorite ex, who was the best at Mattress Mambo, because familiarity is nothing if not intoxicating. So one of you avoided option number 2, and revenge sex is quite good. But option number 1, of course, with bullet holes and blood to boot, Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool suit, number one option. Bill Clinton, do not get paid to enjoy the ride, the thrill, the roller coaster that is Bill Clinton. Hey. Ryan Reynolds is phenomenal. Enjoy that suit. Enjoy your superhero ride. All right, Shannon.
Okay, so that's Shannon 3 points.
And David, right? You have 1. Correct. All right, here we go. David, you will take us off first here on this one. Fresh from a breakup, you download Tinder. And after a heavy night of drinking, you wake up to the notification of having 3 matches. Which of these 3 matches do you go on a date with first? Option number 1, Elmo. Option number 2, Princess Jasmine. Or option number 3, Rey from the new Star Wars trilogy. David, who's option number 1?
Oh, I got to think like you here because I don't want to. I wouldn't have chosen. Okay, Elmo's definitely not what I would choose. I don't know that it's what you would choose either.
Oh so, man,
he's on TikTok.
I mean, you are fresh from a breakup. Maybe it's comforting to go on a date with Elmo, but I wouldn't choose Rey. I would much sooner choose Jasmine from Aladdin, but you, I think, would choose Rey. So I'm going to go with Rey from the Star Wars.
Okay. Shannon?
Jasmine, no question. Her in that red outfit and the what is it called? The hourglass. Like if that didn't do things to you, like then I don't trust you because you're lying.
Disney knew what they were doing. If it
was live action,
it was
Jasmine, then I would. Oh wait, what?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just saying that there was a version of live action.
No. Okay. If we were talking live action, then I 100% would have chosen Jasmine.
Fair enough.
Despite what I think Phil was thinking.
You both were smart to avoid Elmo. That was the only 1 point on there. As good of a conversation I think you'd have. Very informative dinner conversation.
Very fun.
Oh yeah, definitely a fun date. But number 1, if you're going for the gold, number 1 point. But number 1, and definitely a significant portion for this, Rey from the new Star Wars trilogy for David. Of course, 3 points there. Do I need to say much more than feel the force? Is that all I need to say right there? Shannon, you get a number 2 for that one, making the score 5 from Shannon's perspective to David's 4. So very close game. We go to our third spot here. And of course, remember, Hoffman, you do have a skipping stone in your possession to skip any of these prompts. We will go to Shannon for the first answer on this one. Arriving for a date. You know that first appearances are everything, but perhaps as equally as important, so too are first smells. What is the fragrance you wish to spritz on to entice your date, Shannon? Number 1, the scent of their absolute favorite meal. 2, a scent that directly reminds them of their parent who is of the same gender as you. Or number 3, a scent that reminds them of their most memorable ex.
Oh no. See, I do consider scent to be a big thing when I go on dates, but now I'm trying to think of you.
And then the number 1 would be the scent of their absolute favorite meal, a scent that directly reminds them of their parent who is of the same gender as you, or 3, a scent that reminds them of their most memorable ex.
Oh, I'm going meal. I'm going to go meal. That's really hard. I'm going to go meal.
Hoffman?
I think there's a certain savagery, a certain I guess you're just playing with their emotions if you go with the most memorable X, and so I'm going to go with memorable X.
Yet again, you both were able to avoid the 1-pointer being a scent that directly reminds them of their parent who is of the same gender as you.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody really wants that unless you're like 50 First Dates where it's the fishy hands thing. Maybe then, even then. So that means that Shannon, with the scent of their absolute favorite meal, gets 2 points. And Hoffman goes ahead with the scent that reminds them of their most memorable ex. Of course, the savagery, but also I have good smelling exes. So the 4th one, and possibly the last one, depending on what Hoffman decides. And with a score of 7.
It's a tie game.
It is a tie game, and with Shannon and David tied at 7 apiece, I'm going to stick to the order. Very rare that we actually stick to the order here with the last question. So, Hoffman, here we go. You decide to play a game while on the first date for ice-breaking purposes, Hoffman. Which game do you decide to bust out? Number 1, Truth or Dare. 2, Uno. Or 3, Monopoly. Again,
on the first date.
On the first date.
Just can you say the question again?
Yes. You decide to play a game while on the first date for ice-breaking purposes. Which game do you decide to bust out? Truth or Dare, Uno, or Monopoly?
Okay. It can't.
And again, you have a skipping stone should you want to.
You're thanks for reminding me. I'm going to skip this because I think Monopoly is just the worst, but I know Phil likes it. I think that Uno is kind of a dorky thing to do on a first date. I mean, it could be fun though. Like I could get behind that. But it's more fun with more people, I think. And then Truth or Dare could be a lot of fun, but also you're running a lot of risks. Let's just skip.
All right, he's going to skip. Which would you have picked, Hoffman?
I would have picked probably Truth or Dare.
Truth or Dare. Shannon?
I would pick Truth or Dare.
Well, but if Hoffman already picked it?
I would pick Monopoly because you can't play Uno and have a good time with 2 people.
Amen.
Can you play Monopoly with 2 people and have a good time?
I do it all the time.
Well, also, here's the other thing, Hoffman. If you're on a good date and you're busting out Monopoly, extend your time. Extend your time. That's all you need in conversation and negotiation skills. Depending on how they negotiate, you learn a lot. A lot. So that would have been number 1. But we go to an alternate round where Hoffman still has a chance.
What were the other? What were the order of the other 2?
Oh, Monopoly was 3. Truth or Dare number 2. I mean, come on. And then Uno, a strong third, though. A strong third. You are on a date, Hoffman, with a person you haven't clicked with yet, but are attracted to, and see hope for where the date goes as it is still early on. However, which course of action do you take next? 1, see the game on the TVs behind you, the one you made a silly 11-legged parlay that would pay you out $2,100 if it won, and that every time you look at the game going on, something positive happens for the team you root for, thus forcing you to excuse yourself from the date to ensure you win your bet. That's option 1. Option 2, see an overly attractive person enter the room who airdrops you a note saying, quote, "Leave your date and come connect with me, my white bearded flower," thus forcing you to excuse yourself from the date, but pick up the bill as you feel bad about the appetizers you ordered for the table but won't get a chance to eat. Shannon, take out the bearded part for you. Last one. Stick it out on the date as it currently stands after finding out that they are a cat person / think corgis have gross butts, but they immediately follow that up by having the exact same favorite movie, song, and political ideology as you.
Oh,
so one more time, just in retrospect. Number 1, you leave the date in order to ensure victory and get that $2,100 payday. Number 2, go connect with Maria or Mateo, whichever one you want over there. Or 3, stick it out on the date after knowing that they are a cat / hate corgi butt person. Hoffman, which is number 1 option here?
I'm going to call you out for saying corgi, but so this is a date that's going well and it's promising, right?
You find them attractive, but you haven't clicked yet, but it's not negative. No negatives as of yet. But it's early.
For your third option, you said like you're staying after you find out you click a little.
Right. So this is
even though they hate like cats.
Correct.
Hate corgis.
No, they like cats. That's the thing for me. They're
Okay.
But this is before you know that you'll connect.
Yes.
On the third one, you just know that you will have this path to follow further on.
Right. This is so hard. Oh no. I think I would. Okay, so Maria is very tempting. I have to say, she's very gorgeous, and she just
especially airdropping you that info. Woo,
bold,
right?
Very bold.
The bet. I mean, that's really a long. That's in your world there, so that's tempting as well. I mean, finding someone with the same favorite movie, the same political ideology, the same, what else was it?
Same favorite song.
Okay. Gosh. No, I mean, cat person, I think that's just too hard to get past. Like, I'm a dog person and I'm also allergic to cats, so that just doesn't work for me. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I think I'm going with Maria.
Maria.
Wait. Yeah. Okay. I'm sticking with it.
Sticking with Maria. Shannon,
I'm gonna go with your
Mateo is off the
staying.
board.
I'm going with your staying. I don't think you would leave a date, Philip. I don't think I could leave a date. I would feel really bad. Also, like you said, how often do you find someone who likes almost like all the bigger important things to you?
I don't know. Not liking Teddy's butt, that would not be a thing for you?
Well, I mean, it can get very stinky, you know.
I don't think
that's fair.
I don't think that's a fair comparison to my like cat thing, because I'm literally allergic to cats and I'm also a dog lover. So I think that's a lot bigger thing than like thinking the corgi's butts are gross or whatever it was. So
I don't know.
I'll just voice
Shannon
my
loves
opinion. I
Teddy.
don't think those are comparable.
Okay, fair enough.
Teddy is my everything.
Yeah, but you can love Teddy but hate his butt.
That's fair.
Well, why'd you get Teddy in the first? Anyways, I digress. You both missed the number one option here, of course, with getting the payout for $2,100. For that one, you can pay for the appetizers, but that means that one of you did indeed win, as we were knowing before we were even starting this. And Hoffman, I hate to inform you, but Shannon indeed did get the number two option here. Having everything else besides the one crucial thing, even as bad as a cat person can possibly be, I do have to say that that's number two to have that connection.
Like, if I weren't allergic to cats and I just like wasn't a cat person, as I am not, then it wouldn't be a bit. That would have been my choice. But just because I'm allergic, like it's really just a no-go at all. Like I just can't. I could not live like that. All right. I don't think
so. Shannon takes the early win.
Robbed. All right, my game. I'm just going to start. We get the idea?
Yes, we do.
All right, first question. There's no skipping stones here, by the way. You come home early from a vacation and you open your apartment door to find a full-blown orgy being hosted by your partner. What do you do? Join in now, be mad later. Sneak past the naked people and steal your significant other's $5,000 Gucci belt, or pull the fire alarm to make everyone exit the building naked.
Who goes first?
I'm glad you're enjoying this. Shannon went. Who went first for your game?
Shannon went first.
Okay, well then, Shannon, you will go first.
I don't know. Again, just to be clear, it's whatever you would have picked here, Hoffman.
Yeah, it's whichever one I would say is the most badass move. Not necessarily what I would do, but like the most badass move here.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so just to join in now, be mad later. Sneak past the naked people and steal your significant other's $5,000 Gucci belt, their most prized possession, or pull the fire alarm and make everyone exit the building naked.
I'm pulling the fire alarm. I want to watch them like be embarrassed in the street, and they're also like drenched then too if there's like sprinklers. That's just
drenched
funny.
and jiggly. Ugh.
All right. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay.
I knowing Hoffman the way I do, he definitely has a petty side to him. So I'm definitely going to go with the Gucci belt being the number one option here.
Well, you both avoided the number 3 for 1 point. Join in now, be mad later. Certainly an option, but maybe not the most badass move. Phil, you hit the nail on the head. You steal the $5,000 Gucci belt. You pawn it off. And you use that $5,000 for whatever you want to use it for. Fire alarm was a close second, though. Well done. Okay, so we are at Phil 3, Shannon 2. Let's go. Your significant other has just broken up with you in a crowded cafe. What do you do? Play fart noises from your phone under the table and blame it on them. Stand up and yell, "I have to get tested for syphilis?" Or buy a cupcake and when they go to the bathroom, place it on their chair so that when they sit down, they get a cupcake in their ass. All right, Phil, we're going to you first here.
Option 1 was what again?
play fart noises from your phone under the table and blame it on them.
Oh man, just the unfortunate thing about that is I don't qualify that as badass. I just see that as funny.
I mean, don't read too much into the badass, like the literal definition of badass. It's like it's hard to qualify what I'm trying to get across here.
Sure. I think it's I'm either going to get 3 or 2 here. So I'm going to go with the syphilis. First time I've ever gone with the syphilis. So I'm going to start now. Number 2.
Okay, Shannon, what do you think?
Well, I'm going with farts then.
Oh.
Okay, she's going with farts. You both missed the number 1 option for 3 points, unfortunately. That was buy a cupcake, and when they go to the bathroom, place it on their chair. It's the only one that they can't then, when you leave, go like, guys, listen, I don't actually have syphilis, or they can't be like, guys, it wasn't farting, that wasn't real. They will get a cupcake all over their butt. And so that is the move. But the number 2 option was scored by one of you, and that was syphilis. So Phil, you get 2 points. Shannon, you get 1 point. You are now 2 points behind. Unfortunately, you're going to have to pick this up again. On a family trip, your new boo makes far too many suggestive remarks to you about one of your cousins. What do you do?
Ooh.
Stage a scenario to catch them in the act, break up with them on the spot, and make them finish out the weekend sleeping with Uncle Bert, who has IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, if you're not aware, or turn off their alarm and accidentally leave them behind on the last morning when you all leave wherever you're at.
Option number 3.
So Shannon
sounds to be the worst option there. Now that I remember that I'm not number 1 in order in this.
No, you're not, but thanks for that.
Don't pick option number 3, Shannon, whatever you do.
That's definitely what I'm going to pick. Do you care if I step away real quick and give Teddy a treat because he's flipping out?
Go ahead.
So Shannon picked option number 3.
Option 3, turn off their alarm and accidentally leave them behind on the last morning.
I definitely believe that to be the number 1 option. And
the number 1, the top one?
Yeah, I think that's
like
number
the most points?
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to have to go with number 2 here. And I think that I'm going to go with the sleeping with Uncle Bert is going to be option number 2 here. So I'm going to go with Uncle Bert as my selection for this particular game.
Well, you both avoided the bottom option, stage a scenario to catch them in the act. That was worth 1 point. Irritable bowel syndrome from Uncle Bert was the top of the line. That is easily the way to go.
Oh!
3 points, which means, Phil, unfortunately, you've won unless you want to wager, because I think you are now 3 points ahead. Yeah, so it would be impossible at the moment for Shannon to catch up unless you want to wager something here.
Shannon, I am willing to say, okay, how about this? If you can, David, give us the scenario, and if you can give a better option than any of the 3 options that David offers us before hearing his 3 options, I will concede the victory to you.
Okay. I'm here for it.
All right, David, give us the scenario, then we'll go directly to Shannon for her option.
Okay. You've been on 3 dates with someone who seems really great, but then you see on the news that the FBI is looking for some serial killer. Your date fits the profile to a T. What do you do?
I am someone who loves to watch murder documentaries.
Oh,
me too.
I'm going to be that person that tries to this sounds horrible. I'm going to put myself in a situation where I probably would get murdered to see if it's true. If he has a certain way of doing it, like that serial killer they're looking for. I'm going to this guy only kills in the woods. I'm going to be like, okay, we're going on a camping trip. I'm going to give everyone my location and everything. I'm going to get him caught. If it means I'm sacrificing myself, I understand. But I just want to, I'm too nosy to not insert myself in the situation. So I'm inserting myself into the situation as a potential bait to catch the killer and help the world do justice to get him caught.
She's becoming a scapegoat and a sacrificial lamb.
Sacrificial lamb,
not
maybe.
A sacrificial ram. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I might not get killed, but like,
yeah,
I'm putting myself in that situation.
Absolutely. Okay,
Wow.
so David, let's have the official options before me and Shannon make our selections and determination.
Who's determining whether hers was better or worse than my options?
We'll decide between you and me, Hoffman.
Okay.
I'll be fair.
All right. These are your options. Immediately call the tip line. Really slowly start dropping hints that you really kind of admire the killer in the hopes that you can record a confession.
Ooh.
Yeah. Or go on a solo trip to some unspecified international destination.
Yeah, I think
with no return date, no immediate return date in sight.
I think option 2 is the closest one to being, but I actually got to admit, Shannon, that was a good option. I'm going to go with like Shannon winning just off of the option very, very well. But as per my choice on which of those I think Hoffman would consider most badass or the best one, I would say, yeah, it's probably option 2. Going to go with option 2.
That was the dropping hints, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in the undisclosed location. Why not?
The international destination?
Yeah. I'm gonna get a trip.
All right. Well, I don't know how this works, Phil. I'll tell you the rankings of my options here.
Yeah.
Immediately call the tip line was the second best option. Okay. I thought that was sort of middle of the park there. Now I like the really slowly dropping hints that you admire the killer. But that was option 3. That was the lowest. That was 1 point.
Oh wow!
Go just get the out of the country. Go to some other place. You do not want to risk him wanting to murder you or no. That is number 1 best option. Get the out of there. Go. Don't come back until you know he's caught. Yeah,
that is toxic behavior, Shannon. That is toxic.
I would have such a big part in the murder documentary. Like they would do like a whole if it was a docuseries, a whole episode on me. Even if I get murdered, because I'm like
right, because that's what it's all about. You're just all about being famous, Shannon. Doesn't matter if you're alive. I just want to see
it play out. I just want to see it play out.
Oh, wow. That is a toxic trait right there, Shannon. But that's all right. That's all right. All right, Shannon. Thank you. You have won. You have won both times against both hosts. Congratulations. I mean, we are in agreement, right, Hoffman? I was willing to give her the option. Yeah, and I think option 2 is your closest.
Yeah, I think in your opinion, it was the best, better than whatever. I love the ballsiness, so yeah, I'll agree.
Okay, fair enough. Shannon, you've defeated us both. A completely rewarding episode today.
Do you guys want to try my tiebreaker?
Sure, why not?
All right. How long in days from date of marriage to date that they were declared single by the court were Brad and Angelina married? How many days? Married, from marriage to officially being declared single.
Was it 112?
Yeah, she would have had to go first. 112. I think it's way longer than that. So I mean 100 and I would have said like 5 years. So, I mean, I'll go something closer to that, but let's go 1,500 days.
Wow, Phil, that's real close. 1693.
I'm thinking of a different couple.
Brad and Angelina. How are you thinking of a different couple? Do you know another Brad and Angelina?
No, I don't know. I don't.
1,693 days. It's like 4 years and some months. Yeah, well done, Phil.
I was like, I know that they had like 8 kids adopted.
They were married. They were together for like 7 years or something, or 8 or 9 years. I don't know. And then they got married in 2014, and they officially were declared single in 2019. So there you go. All right. Well, Shannon, is there anything you'd like to add or plug or promote before you leave us today?
No, you can follow me on social media. It's Shannon B_OUNT on like everything except for TikTok, which is Shannernanner1.
There we go.
Okay. Shannernanner1 on TikTok. Shannon B_LUNT on Instagram and everywhere else. Mm-hmm. B Lunt. Shannon B Lunt.
And once you
thank you so much.
Yeah, once you find her socials, make sure she makes it really easy. Make sure you also follow Teddy, the corgi.
Oh yeah, follow Teddy. That's more important. I don't care if you actually follow me. Teddy's got better content.
Absolutely.
Good.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And with that, unusual loss. I go down to a record of 21-22, while Hoffman still remains within a puncher's chance of catching up to me within these next 2 weeks at 20-23.
Bow, chicka, bow, bow. Welcome to That Slaps. We each have a song, movie, TV show, whatever, for you to recommend that you go ahead and listen to. I'm going to start us out here, Phil. I think that Slaps can be mostly about recommending new music or relatively new music to the listeners, but I also think it can be about reminding the listener to go check out this song that came out decades ago that you probably haven't listened to in a little while, but it'll give you the feels. And I'm giving you, because we've been talking so much about breakups and all that depressing nonsense.
Blurred lines?
Let's talk a little bit about love. This is Friday, I'm in Love by The Cure.
Ah, okay.
That slaps.
That is the most tender way either one of us has ever said.
It slaps.
It just slaps.
It slaps. Delightfully so.
We are in a romantic mood and theme. It's so funny. We actually, looking at it now and, putting my producerial hat on it, we technically probably should have saved these two types of episodes on back to back that we've done, probably more for February as it lends itself to that with Valentine's Day.
Probably.
But hey, we're setting the mood, the table for you, the listener. With that being said,
now you can start planning for Valentine's Day, whether that happens to be a first date like last week or a breakup like this week, whichever feels more right to you.
Absolutely. And in that romantic realm comes my That Slaps. Song is called Crush by Tessa Violet. It was shared with one of my best friends this week with me, and it's been stuck in my mind, cannot get out of there, and it's been on constant repeat in both my mind, playlists, and songs, and iPhone. Crush by Tessa Violet. That slaps.
Well, we've arrived at the end of this very, very lengthy episode, and
Yes.
Of course, as per usual, we have some thank yous. First of all, to Cass and Crossland and to Jake Corlang for the music that you hear on the show.
Thank you to Tara Amstutz and Josh Hans for their wonderful contributions to the pod. Could not do it without you. Episode 50, we've thanked you every time, and we will continue to do so because you guys are all part of what makes the production of POWWOW so great. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, whether you've contributed to POWWOW in a small or large way, we thank you so much for helping us get to this point, almost a year in, 50 episodes. What an achievement. We're very proud of ourselves and of anyone who's contributed to the podcast, guests included. So thank you this week to Shannon. She stuck around for a long time, chatted with us about some real meaty things.
Yeah.
And of course, thank you to you, the listener, for the support over the past year and over the past 50 episodes, however many you listen to. Thank you so much for listening, and recommend us to your friends. We're trying to spread the word. We think we've got some interesting things to say. And obviously you can find us on socials at POWWOW_podcast on Instagram, and you'll find our link tree there, which will get you wherever you need to go. And of course, tune in next week where we'll have another fun episode for you. So take care.
Gerald, I just don't think it's going to work out between us anymore. Don't look at me with that grizzled face of yours. You know how I love it. Mama said I should never date a bear, and now I know why.